So in this video, we are going to talk about radio communication link, the Frisch formula, and noise in antenna. So what is a radio communication link? There will be a sender or transmitter, and there will be a receiver, and between them there will be a wireless communication link through the pair of antennas. So as you can see in this example, in all the radio communication link, you are going to see the similar block setup for the communication. So there will be a transmitter. Transmitters are the combination of electronics, electronic equipment, and in many cases some electrical equipment also, which transform the signal. Suppose if you are talking to your mobile phone, so before becoming electromagnetic wave, your voice will be converted to first in the electrical form using the transducer, and then that electrical signal will basically be of very small frequency. As you know that uh, our voice frequency is 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, right? But if you have studied in communication, analog communication, we require to send the signal in electromagnetic waveform at a very high frequencies, like in megahertz or gigahertz frequency range. So you have to convert this frequency into higher megahertz or gigahertz range, right? So you will use some kind of modulation technique, and then after there will be some other processes also to enhance the amplitude of signals so that the power is not lost while being communicated. So finally it will come to antenna, and from antenna your electromagnetic wave will go towards the receiver. At receiver end, another antenna will receive the signal, and this signal will go to the receiver. Receiver is all again a electronic or electrical circuit, and the connection between antenna and the receiver is through transmissions lines. So transmissions lines are of many types. We have already discussed in previous lectures that they can be of either coaxial cable, or they can be of uh, waveguides, and so many things, even two wire systems. So if you go at your roof and see the DTH antenna, so there will be an antenna, and obviously there will be a coaxial cable that will come from that antenna towards your TV. So that wire will be called your transmissions lines. The DTH will be your antenna, and the receiver part will be inside your TV. Sometime it is in TV, and sometime there is a cable box that which comes with a remote, right, where you change your channel. So that box is basically your receiver, right? It has got all the electronics inside it. So in this lecture, as part of radio communication link, we will be seeing that if some power is transmitted from here, then what power is received here? What is the amount of power that we can receive? And it will be based on the study that we have already done in the previous lectures, which included antenna aperture and antenna gains and all. So suppose you have an antenna here. It is transmitting a total power PT, the total power which is being emitted as in the form of electromagnetic wave is PT, right? So suppose if this antenna was isotropic antenna, so at a distance of r, let me take it as capital R, what will be the power density which you can receive at a distance r from this antenna? We have already discussed, it will be PT divided by 4 pi r square. So what we have done is we have just divided it by the surface area of the sphere of radius r. This was an isotropic antenna where your power electromagnetic waves or radiation is emitting in all the direction equally in the case of isotropic antenna. But in the case of normal antenna, this is not the case. Suppose you are having a dipole antenna or any other antenna that is radiating in a particular direction more than other direction, then it will have a particular radiation pattern shape like this, right? So you can say that this antenna is having a particular gain in this direction. So in that case, the power density here that you receive will not be this. You will have to multiply its gain also. So if that was the maximum gain direction, you will multiply by directivity. So I'm just calling it as a gain of the transmitter antenna. So this is the same thing is happening here. Suppose this antenna is radiating and it is having a gain of GT in this direction, right? In this direction, and suppose PT power is radiated from this antenna. So the density of power that is received at this antenna will be PT upon 4 pi r square into GT. It is very simple to understand, and GT is the gain of the antenna, transmitter antenna in the direction of receiver antenna. So this is your receiver antenna and this is your transmitter antenna, right? Now if you want to, since this is the this quantity is basically the density of power, so if you want to calculate the total power which is entering into this receiving antenna, how will you calculate it? So we already discussed that you have to multiply the power density with the effective area of that antenna, and effective area or the area of aperture we have already studied in the previous lectures. So if there is a receiving antenna here, so the total power received by that antenna, and I'm calling it as PR, will be equal to PT divided by 4 pi r square, and this is basically GT multiplied by the effective area of that receiving antenna. And what is the formula of area of aperture or effective area of any antenna? It is lambda square upon 4 pi into, we had studied that it we will multiply d directivity, but you can take any arbitrary direction, and you can take you can just use the term gain in place of directivity. So let me call it as GR, the gain of receiver. In which direction? The direction from which the transmitting antenna is transmitting towards receiving antenna. So this GR is the gain of that. So what we will do is we will put this thing in this equation. So we will get P received is equal to PT GT multiplied by GR into lambda square divided by, this will become 4 pi r whole squared, because this 4 pi will be multiplied here, so it will become 4 pi r whole squared. So this equation can also be written as the ratio of received power to the transmitted power as PR divided by PT is equal to GT into GR into lambda upon 4 pi r whole squared. So this equation is basically called your Friis equation. So I have written it in the next slide. PR upon PT is equal to GT GR lambda upon 4 pi r whole squared. So PT is the power, PR is the power at the receiving antenna, PT is the power output from the transmitting antenna, GT and GR are the gain of transmitting and receiving antenna, lambda is the wavelength at which you are operating, and R is the distance between these two antennas. So this was your R, right? So this is basically the radio communication link, and a lot of questions come from this part. So in the next lecture video, we will be discussing some questions uh, from all the lectures in unit 3 that we had till now. And now we will move to the next section, which is antenna temperature or antenna noise temperature. So what is antenna temperature? Antenna temperature is not the physical temperature or heat being radiated by the antenna. It basically represents the noise performance of any antenna. So antenna temperature is basically the measure of noise being produced by an antenna or noise being added to the main signal by the antenna in a given environment. So why I'm adding this in a given environment? So depending on the environmental condition, the heat, the atmospheric condition like humidity, or if the sun is there in the sky or not. So depending on all these things, antenna performs differently. So you know that the metallic properties of antennas change. The metallic properties change with temperature and everything. So that is why some noise will always be added in any antenna. So what are the main factors that add noise to a temperature to an antenna? They are galactic radiation. So galactic means there are so many things happening all around the universe. So there are neutron stars, there are galaxies. So they emit a lot of radio waves. So those radio waves are also received by the antenna. So that is also a kind of a noise that you don't want. Then earth heating effect. Sun also emit a lot of radiation. You already know. Light is also a radiation in the visible zone. Then so many electric devices are there around all of us, and antenna itself produces some noise. So these are the kind of noises that is added in the antenna signal in a given environment. Um, Basically, in mathematical terms, antenna temperature depends on its gain, its radiation pattern, and the noise it picks from the surroundings. So the formula for calculating the antenna temperature is given as this. This TA is the temperature of antenna, which is basically the noise temperature of antenna. It is uh, solid angle integration. You remember this term. This is nothing but d omega, which is solid angle. So you have to calculate solid angle integration in theta and phi direction of what? This r theta phi is the radiation pattern of antenna. You remember this, that p and theta we calculated. P and theta phi, the normalized power pattern. So this is nothing but that only. So this is the radiation pattern of antenna, and T theta phi is the temperature distribution of antenna, because in different directions, the noise performance of antenna will be different. So this quantity will give the total antenna temperature, and if you want to calculate the power in that total power that is being contributed there by the antenna noise, you can find that by using this formula, which is PTA is equal to KTAB, where TA is this thing, which is antenna temperature. PTA is the power in the antenna noise, and K is the Boltzmann's constant, and you know what is the value of K? K is equal to 1.38 into 10 to the power minus 23 joule per Kelvin, right? So this is the Boltzmann, and this formula, this P is equal to KTB, you must have seen in your communication in the random process and noise section. So you know that any receiving or transmitting system is made of two things. One is antenna, and another is, suppose you are using a receiving antenna, then it will be a receiver. So receiver is the electronic circuit which converts the antenna signal into the desired form, and then the antenna itself. So this TA part, we talked about only the antenna noise temperature of this antenna, but there is some noise added by the receiver circuits also. So let me call this noise as TR. So the total noise temperature of the whole system will be, I'm calling it as T system, and it is given by this. So it will be the summation of noise temperature of antenna and noise temperature of the receiver. Now coming to a very important factor, which is called signal to noise ratio. This factor basically defines how good the noise performance of any antenna is. It is nothing but the ratio of signal power to the noise power. So as you can see in this figure, suppose a signal is, you have to transmit the signal from a transmitting antenna. So you have a transmitting antenna, this is your antenna, and this is your transmitter circuit. So you got this particular signal, but this whole system adds this noise also into the signal. So this signal will become like this, right? It will be overall the shape of this square signal, but it will have some fluctuations in it. So there are many methods to reduce this noise. Many kind of filters can be used. If you know, basically the noise frequency is very high, so you can use low pass filter so that the noise will be removed. So there are many techniques to remove the noise. So basically what we do is, to define the noise performance of the system, we use this factor SNR, signal to noise ratio, which is represented in dB, and it is nothing but the ratio of signal power to the noise power in any particular antenna system. So we just saw that the signal power, suppose we are talking about the receiver, and then the signal power received was given by using the Friis formula, was PR is equal to PT GT GR into lambda square upon 4 pi r ka whole square. So what we will do is, we can just put this thing in this formula, and P noise we just calculated as KTB. Now since we are talking about the whole system, so we will use T system. So the noise power will be KTS T system into B, KTB. So the SNR for any antenna system, any receiving antenna system to be precise, will have this formula. It is the combination of the noise formula and the Friis formula and SNR formula, obviously. Now coming to the last topic of today's lecture video is antenna impedance. It is also very important. Uh, you know, uh, let us take one example. So suppose if you have a DTH antenna at your roof, it looks like this, right? And a wire is connected to your TV from this DTH antenna. This wire is a coaxial cable. So suppose you are receiving some signal, which is obviously there is a device called LNBC, which converts the signal into the in different frequency, and the signal in the volt and electric form is transmitted from this LNBC to this wire towards your TV. So suppose your impedance of this coaxial cable, which is basically your transmission line, is 50 ohm, which is represented by this Z naught. And the impedance at the input of your antenna where you are connecting this coaxial cable is 100 ohm. So you see that there will be a mismatch between the antenna input and your transmission line. So what will happen? So you must have studied a topic called maximum power transfer theorem in your network theory, where if the if there is a network which is having a resistance of, suppose I'm calling it as ZTH, impedance of ZTH, and if you connect this to a load which is having an impedance of ZL, and if this ZTH or the internal impedance of that network is not matched, is not equal to that load impedance ZL, then what will happen? Maximum power will not transfer from this network to the load. So for maximum power transfer to happen between the two at the junction point of antenna and the transmission line, this input impedance, which is ZA, antenna impedance, and the characteristic impedance of the transmission line must match. They must be equal, so that whatever power is received by antenna goes completely to the circuit. So that is why the impedance of antenna becomes very important, so that whatever signal we are receiving, it completely goes into the transmission line or coaxial cable. And in the opposite direction also, if you are trying to transmit something through antenna, whatever signal you are giving through the coaxial cable or transmission line, all the maximum power must go into the antenna. Otherwise there will be losses which you don't want. So you know that antenna impedance can be a complex quantity. We can represent it as R plus minus JX. And you know that X is because of capacitive or inductive properties in any material, right? So you also know that if there is a capacitor, it will try to store energy in the form of electric field. And if there is inductor, it will try to store energy in the form of magnetic field, right? You must have studied this. But what does R does? R does not store any energy. It completely radiates it in the form of heat and all. So suppose if you are using a transmitting antenna, would you like the antenna to store energy, or would you like the antenna to completely radiate all the energy? You would obviously want that all the energy is completely radiated and minimum amount of energy is stored in or near the antenna. So that is why this ZA becomes very important. If the ZA is completely real, which it does not have any imaginary part, or which means that it does not have any capacitive or inductive part, all the power that is provided to ZA will be either radiated or absorbed by the antenna itself. So either it will be radiated in the form of electromagnetic wave, or it will be absorbed as heat, or as it will produce some temperature in the antenna. The imaginary part of ZA represent the non-radiative power, which is stored in the form of electric and magnetic field in or near the antenna. So remember, we studied about the near field and far field pattern. So in the near field, this electromagnetic waves are basically stored in this antenna system, and they behave very differently. So whatever study we do for radiation pattern or gain, we always do for far field pattern. So we would like that most of the power is radiated. And if the ZA is perfectly real, it does not have any imaginary part, then that kind of antenna is called as resonant antenna. So resonant antennas will have their impedance, antenna impedance, a real quantity. For example, if you use a half wave dipole antenna, uh, if you use a half wave dipole antenna, so its antenna impedance will be a real quantity because it is a resonant antenna. So we will talk about this in the next section. And also, if the antenna is not real, it is having a complex part, then its Z antenna will be R plus some X, and X, you know, that is dependent on frequency. So suppose if this is a inductive load, then X is equal to omega into L. L is the inductance. So omega is what? Omega is nothing but 2 pi f. F is the frequency. So whatever frequency you apply to the antenna, its impedance will vary, and so the performance of antenna will also vary. So this is about the today's lecture, and in the next lecture video we will be doing some numerical examples. Thank you.